Okay guys, welcome to the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport, and this is a pretty cool new SUV from Honda. Of course, the popular Pilot lineup, it's the next generation. It's bigger in every dimension. This off-road kind of TrailSport model is more dynamic, more off-road capable. It's a pretty cool vehicle with new engine, new gearbox. Let's go check a tour on the exterior. If you haven't seen my all-new full review of this, definitely go watch that. But I'm just gonna take you guys on a quick tour of the exterior before we go take this thing on a drive. Really interesting diffused blue paint job Honda has on this one. This is an option. I like it. It's a little bright for my taste, but I think it's a nice contrast against all of the black trim and the orange badging for this TrailSport model. Full LED headlights and fog lights. Really big new Honda badge and grille up front. We also have a TrailSport badge over there, which looks really cool. And this orange, we have skid plates. Beefier Continental all-terrain tires on here with specific TrailSport wheels that even say it's TrailSport on them, and this kind of like dark gray, almost black look. Really like this new boxy style Honda's going with on the Pilot. Again, it's huge. It's definitely bigger in every dimension, but it kind of masks it with this boxy shape that they kind of went with. This is actually almost like the same size as a Telluride, but it doesn't look like it visually. Really love this rear end. This is one of my favorite angles of the new Pilot. Very muscular, boxy looking. I like these new kind of hexagonal taillights they went with here. I like the big Pilot spelt out on the back. We also have a TrailSport badges back here as well, a tow hook, and down here we actually have a full-size spare tire, which is a fantastic option. And this thing has a crazy amount of leg room in the third row and the second row. We have captain's chairs in this one. Really impressive. Super easy to get into that third row as well. You just kind of like fiddle some stuff around. Sorry, my backpack's there, but yeah, this is a really nice SUV for families, and you can get a 3 seats over there if you need it as well. It can be stored in the trunk, which is a really cool feature. Top and side, all weather floor mats with the TrailSport badge on it. Really like what Honda's doing here with this new Pilot. Let's go take this thing for a drive. Okay guys, we're inside the Pilot TrailSport, and over here we have our controller like I showed earlier for our 10-speed automatic gearbox. We'll pop it into drive, and you do have paddle shifters as well. And let's head off. Now, of course, we have this kind of new generation 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 up front under the hood, and this is riding on Honda's next generation of their kind of light truck platform that will be shared with the future Ridgeline pickup, as well as the future Passport, which I'm really excited to see when that comes out, because I think that's going to look really cool. And this engine, again, is all new, or as Honda says, I kind of consider it a new generation. We have a dual overhead cams now, direct injection, and the whole point of it really was to kind of reduce emissions generally of the vehicle. So it kind of cut 50% of kind of toxic gases coming out of the exhaust, which is really impressive. That's to kind of keep it emissions compliant and going into the future. And otherwise, power isn't that much more of an increase of around 286-ish horsepower, around 262-ish pound-feet of torque, so it's nothing super crazy. I think it gets the job done. You do have like around 1 mpg less than you did before, which is interesting. Nonetheless, it's pretty generally good. And this 10-speed gearbox is now a Honda design versus the old ZF 8-speed gearbox we had before. I think it's a really nice, very refined sound to it. Now, you don't have Vtec anymore actually either, so Honda has gotten rid of that. But I think it still revs itself out pretty well, all the way up to red line around 65-ish, 7,000 RPM almost. It sounds fine for a V6. Very nice linear power. And I think my one word I've been saying over this past week driving this is very refined feeling of a powertrain. And I have to say, this whole platform, Honda has increased the rigidity, so it's stronger. And what does that really mean to you? Well, it feels more planted and solid on the road. And that was my biggest complaint, actually, with the main competitor to this, the Kia Telluride, and you might as well throw in the Hyundai Palisade with that one. We have a sport mode as well. It didn't feel very nice to drive. The steering felt really cheap, actually. The platform felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel rigid and strong enough. It felt a little bit flimsy in that unibody. This feels strong, very sturdy, and there's a lot of support going on here. And the steering also is nice, light, but also direct, especially with these knobbier tires. Oh, my tripod back there, guys. This also has torque distribution in the back with a torque vectoring differential, as you can see. When I go around a corner, you can kind of see the power being distributed around there. Kind of see it right now in a second. My tripod is gonna be knocking around back there the whole time. You can see power is going to that outside wheel a little bit more. This thing really likes to rev out. And that was a sport mode, so in sport mode it's gonna hold those gears a little bit longer, lower down. It says 10 speeds, so there's a lot of room to play with here, but I think normally everyone's gonna just drive this in normal or economy mode. You'll be on with your day pretty fine. Now, out on the highway at highway speeds, you can definitely tell this is where there's a little bit of a difference between this and the Kia Telluride. Is it's a little bit louder in here. The glass is a little bit thinner. I believe in the Telluride you can get like more acoustically laminated glass on the higher end trims, so you can definitely hear a little bit more road noise in this one, and that's definitely going to be due to these all-terrain tires that we have on this particular TrailSport model. I'm sure the Elite and the Touring models will be a little bit quieter on the interior. This one has pretty nice amount of the Honda sensing safety system stuff. You have lane departure warning and stuff. You also have adaptive cruise control, easy to control on the steering wheel. You just turn it on like this, set your speed. You also have steering assist as well as distance control. See right there, you also have lane departure warning, so it'll warn you in that little screen right there, and we'll give you a little bit of feedback on the steering wheel. Now, going on to this little display on your left hand side, this is the only display you have up here. You can kind of go to a safety support screen, so you can kind of see all your safety systems as they're working. This isn't my favorite system on the market, and this is one area where I think the Kia Telluride succeeds, is in the technology. This is a little bit still I wouldn't say outdated, but a little bit behind, or a lower level style technology you're getting for your money. That Kia thing is like a spaceship when it comes to technology. You have those big screens, heads-up displays, automatic lane changing, much bigger infotainment system. This is only a 9-inch unit. So if you want all the tech, you're gonna wanna go for a competitor, but I think this is a really nice amount of technology you're getting on this vehicle. And remember, this is the off-road trim, so it has a lot more stuff for that reasoning. There you go. And believe it or not, actually, this is slower just by a little bit than the previous generation of the Pilot, and that's largely due to the fact that this thing is a much larger vehicle than the previous generation Pilot, while only getting like a tiny increase in horsepower. So a little bit of an acceleration time is going to decrease just a little bit for you, and that's also probably why we're seeing a little bit of a decrease in fuel economy, as well as that's probably contributing to that boxy design, a little bit less aerodynamic than before. Though I think that trade-off is worth it, because I think this Pilot looks really good now versus the like minivan style shape you had before. But there really isn't too much to say about this vehicle and the driving experience. It's just a very competent, well-suited family vehicle, and I personally think it feels more solid, better put together, and the steering feels more refined, the powertrain feels more refined, the gearbox feels more refined than the Kia Telluride, which I just keep comparing it to because I think that's really its main competitor right now, that's been kind of eating into the Pilot's sales over the past few years. And they're really very competitive now, especially with this new Pilot in terms of size, dimensions, and everything. I will say one thing that's a little bit annoying to control while driving is this screen. These buttons are a little bit weird to kind of get used to. Generally things are easy to navigate on here. The screen is very responsive itself, and honestly you just leave it in Apple CarPlay, but it is definitely far of a reach. You kind of have to like sit up in your seat and take your eyes off the road to kind of control things on here, which I think isn't the safest option. I wish in that aspect it was a little bit bigger, or it was angled a little bit towards the driver to kind of give you a better control of it. Nonetheless, its operation is okay though. And if you do need light in here, like I said, it is pretty bright. Oh, those are actually pretty blinding. I'm gonna keep those off. And one other thing I am going to want to note on this Pilot is the range and fuel economy, like I did mention a little bit previously, isn't the best thing on the planet. I've driven around almost 100 miles now. We're averaging around 14 miles to the gallon. That was primarily a lot of slow traffic and city driving versus highway driving. So that could be why we're seeing a low average number. Honda and the EPA are saying around 20, 19-ish miles per gallon in the city, 23-ish on the highway, which is okay, nothing impressive. I doubt they're gonna make any sort of hybrid version of this anytime soon, so I wouldn't really look out to that. You may want to just step down to a CRV, even though that is a smaller vehicle if you want better fuel economy. And even its competitors aren't getting the best fuel economy either, so I can't really kind of go over and recommend those. If you want something really more fuel efficient, you're gonna have to step up in price. Maybe go for a Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid or the inline 6. Those are actually gonna get a little bit better fuel economy than this, but that's gonna be a big jump in price, a very different style of vehicle than you're gonna get with this Pilot. And speaking of price, this is actually more expensive than a Kia Telluride by I think around $3,000, and I think that is really coming into the more rugged architecture that this thing is built on, and that may pay dividends to you if you do want that more solid, rigid feeling, which I personally actually prefer overall that tech. Though if you do want that tech and the luxury features that you can get on the Telluride, you're going to be more at home there. And that's about it, guys. This was a wonderful drive of the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport. I hope you guys enjoyed having a little bit of a go in this thing, and I think it's really a really good choice to check out right now. You definitely know you're gonna get the Honda reliability long term. You're getting a really nice solid powertrain, a hugely spacious interior, and if you need to go off-road, this thing actually does have the chops to do it. Like I said, you have that skid plate, you have the rear kind of torque distributing and differential, you have the drive modes to do it, you have the ground clearance, the tires, you got some cameras as well to kind of go around the vehicle to help you. So it's got some chops to do it as well. And there's versions of competitors of kind of off-road variants, but this one is a little bit more beefy in that essence, and it has that rigidity built into it, knowing that there's going to be that ridgeline pickup as well as the more shorter wheelbase, a little bit more rugged style Passport coming. This has this roots already built into it, and that's why I think I would consider this maybe a little bit more over its competitors. Nonetheless, guys, thank you for joining me again on another POV drive over at Allcarnews, and as always, stay tuned for a lot more coming soon. Cheers.